Hi, folks. Steven here. This is going to be another sort of Pokemon trading card game pre-release report. We're going to talk a little bit about my time at a recent Cosmic Eclipse pre-release that was in Loves Park, Illinois. Again, we didn't have one in the Madison area. Same issue, I guess, with Unified Minds, but we in that particular case, I knew it was going to World, so it wasn't such a big deal for me, at least, I guess. We're going to be talking about a variety of things, but also some channel updates and stuff like that. All right. Well, as usual, I have a little bit of a, let's see, PowerPoint. So, okay, give that a moment to start up. All right. So, where was this one? Well, as kind of usual, I went down a little way south on I-90 to Top Cut Comics in Loves Park, Illinois. If you don't know where that is, Loves Park is just outside of Rockford, Illinois. And Top Cut Comics, by the way, if you go through some of my archival stuff, just a reminder to longtime viewers, you may remember this is Tomorrow is Yesterday used to be the name of it, and now it's I think Jimmy Ballard is sort of the parent owner of this group of stores here. But yeah, this was the kind of the nearest one to me, and although actually I think Economilk might have been closer, but like to visit my mom in Janesville. So as store, as you can see, it was pretty gray and overcast. Kind of your typical gray overcast fall day. It actually rained later in the day, which is kind of expected. I think the trees in Rockford had a few more leaves on them than they do up here in Madison, which is kind of, I guess, expected. But let's see here. All right, so I got to this place. It was for their noon pre-release. Noon turned out to be the registration time, so I was actually fairly early. And twice a year, they do that free comic book day in May. And in October, they do Halloween Comic Fest or whatever it is. I think it's run by the same people. But they had a bunch of comic book samplers out there. As you can see, I took a picture of a bunch of the more youth-focused ones. And you notice on the right-hand side, they did have a Pokemon Adventures manga sampler there. And they said there's a collector's edition coming in spring 2020. So that's something to look forward to there. So that was kind of nice. I didn't pick that one up, though, just because I'm actually in the process of cleaning my apartment and trying to be very conscious about how much stuff I take back with me. So, all right. So let's see. What else do they have at the store there? The store, it is a hobby or like a board game comic book TCG type store, but they do have a pretty good selection of plushes out there. You can see in the top left, I have a bunch of Pikachu, some Marill, a couple Pichu. If you look really closely there, over in the top right, you see the Togepi, Slowpoke, little Gengar, and then in the bottom, you can see they have a Charizard, bunch of Jigglypuff, and Gengar again. Pretty good selection there. This place does make a pretty good sized effort to get to market off of the Pokemon side of their business, which I was pretty impressed by. All right, so this is kind of their gaming area. Now, I may have shown you pictures of this place before. Obviously, I got here pretty early, and I wasn't sure how many people were going to show up. I had some time to play Pokemon Masters. I'm actually still working kind of through the main story, the original story portion. You may have heard earlier this week that they did add some additional chapters of story and some stuff going on. I've kind of found it to be a game that I play when I don't have, like, if I'm not moving around, so I can't play Go, and I don't have my Switch with me or my 3DS. That's kind of the Pokemon game I play then. So that's kind of there. But I did want to point out in the gaming area over there, they actually tore down a bit of a wall there because this used to be a little more sequestered from the rest of Top Cut Comics. And there's actually a little more space over there, but you can kind of see the area there. Not huge, but certainly big enough for some of the stuff there. And like I said, there were a few more they don't have pictured here. All right, so here's kind of the layout here. If you've been to a pre-release within the last few years, you pretty much know what to expect with this. So let's see. First off, you get 4 booster packs. You also get a little poster, and let's see. And you also get an evolution pack, which has a couple evolution lines, some sort of promo card, a bunch of trainers, which is really great because like some sets, this was a huge set. There's over 250 cards if you include like all the secret rares and stuff like that. But some sets don't have any good like draw support or anything like that. So having those built-in cards can be really helpful, mechanically speaking. But it looks like I got all 4 of the different cover arts there. Let's see, the babies, the Piplup and Blastoise, the ones at the top right. Let's see, I think one of those has Arceus on it. And the other one is a little hard to see. That's one, I guess, kind of complaint I've had about some of the Pokemon cards lately is they keep getting busier and busier visually. And like even on stream with like high definition footage, it can be hard to tell what they are. I really appreciate the art, and we'll be talking about some of that here. Because they did do a lot of nice things. Since this is presumably the last Sun and Moon set, they always kind of go out like with legendary treasures at the end of 5th generation, and I forget what they did in 6th generation if they had a set there that was a big kind of blowout of cards and stuff. Yeah, so you can see on the left-hand side I got Blacephalon, I think is how that's pronounced. I'll know in a moment. But anyway, here's what I put together from my packs in this. I got the Dusknoir and Kricketune Pokemon evolution lines that you could get here. I ended up not using the Kricketune. We'll talk about the card later. It's kind of interesting, but you can see there I've got, I managed to pick up, normally it comes with a 3-2-2 line of Dusknoir, but I managed to pick up another Dusclops in my booster pack, so that was helpful. Blacephalon, of course, this is my promo card. I got a Mimikyu. I did get a Tag Team GX Mega Lopunny and Jigglypuff. Let's see, a couple Eevee, Jolteon, Pikachu, and Magnemite. So I kind of went, instead of doing Psychic and Grass, I decided to do Psychic and Lightning. You can see my trainer layout on the right-hand side, very kind of diverse. I didn't get any doubles of anything. Did get a Rosa, which was kind of nice. And then we've got 9 Psychic Energy and 5 Lightning Energy. So I went 2-1. Things went relatively okay. I'll talk a little bit about the games as time goes on, but let's talk about some of the actual cards I picked up and ended up using in this pre-release. All right, Blacephalon. So let's see. Yeah, it's an Ultra Beast, of course. It honestly looks something like you'd see under a microscope in like a bacteria or virus or something like that. I hate to say it, but it does kind of look like that. I don't despise the design or anything, but it does strike me that way. Sort of the really cool thing about this is that one thing they seem to be doing every so often is there seem to be more things that are based on the number of remaining prize cards, like a specific number, which gets some interesting stuff going in this one. So you'll notice it has that attack there, and it does. Let's see. Normally, you get to place 4 damage counters, no matter any way you want, on your opponent's field. But if they have exactly 3 prize cards left, then you get to do 12 damage counters, which is kind of insane. Remember, you can put those anywhere on the board. You don't have to worry about weakness or resistance on those because their damage counter is not technically damage. And of course, since pre-releases are a 4-prize format, you're going to get that. You're going to get to 3 relatively quickly. So you can sacrifice something sometimes. And as long as you're ready with this, you can deal out some massive damage there. And in the 2 games I won, this proved to be pretty pivotal and very useful there. So it kind of reminds me of the way Buzzwole was. There was a Buzzwole card you could get a couple of sets ago within the last year or so. And it had a 4 prizes, which of course is where you start there. So you have to figure out a way to take a prize or something like that. And since it's based on your opponent's, like this one is based on your opponent's remaining prize card count, you can obviously kind of sweep with it if you get it at the right time at the right place. So kind of tricky there. All right, next card up. So yeah, I have a few card combos I want to talk about here. So on the left, of course, you have, I was fortunate enough to get one of the secret rares in there. You can see it's 241 out of 236. Like I said, there are over 250 cards with all the secret rares and all that stuff they did. They really packed this one in. But it's got red, not ash, red. There is a distinction there between there, and you got Pikachu in there, sort of representing, I guess, yellow in a certain way. So I'm not sure how that all fits together there. But let's see there. It's got Nuzzle, which is basically one light energy. You flip a coin if heads are paralyzed. And the second one is Volt Tackle, 3 energy, 70, 10 to itself. You know, not technically the greatest attack, but very useful, I would think, in a pre-release that you can pull something like that. On the right-hand side, you see one of the new supporters here. This is Will, one of the Elite Four, I think. Oh, gosh, it's either the 6th or 7th generation. It's either Kalos or Alola. I forget which one. But he's got that mask thing. No connection with Team Break that I know from Pokemon Masters. But it's got this neat little thing there. You can play it, and then the next time this turn that you use an ability, an attack, or a trainer card, I guess it would have to be an item card, except in some very specific examples, that requires a coin flip, you can decide whether that's going to be heads or tails. It's usually going to be heads, of course. So if you're, I guess, using, is Pokemon Catcher Posterata still in the format? I don't even remember. But obviously with the Nuzzle over there, you know, I did use that. It didn't win me the game, but it prolonged things and allowed me to get an automatic paralysis for one turn, which was, I would say, still pretty useful. So it was useful on that. I suppose an expanded it could be maybe something you use with Hypnotoxic Laser if you're still using that. I don't know. But I found it very interesting as a card. We've seen things like Victini's Victory Star and Lucky Coin or whatever it's called. So it is kind of interesting. They're giving these sort of flip manipulation type things. All right, another card combo that I thought was interesting. Mimikyu and Rosa. So you notice that Mimikyu's first deck is Impersonation, and it says discard a supporter card from your hand. If you do, use the effect of that card as the effect of this attack. Now, I did ask the judge about this one there, and there's also, by the way, there's a FAQ that comes in, that came with this set, like there is for pretty much every set, that kind of covered this situation. They don't call it out by name. But apparently, if you use Impersonation, you can get around stuff, which is not totally surprising. You can get around, for example, there's an ability out there that stops you from playing supporters. You can get around it with that. But I asked the judge specifically. I had managed to pick up a Rosa in one of my packs. And I asked, well, gee, I didn't get anything knocked out during my opponent's last turn, but it says you can play this, but I'm discarding it instead. And he said, yeah, that was okay. So if you look through the FAQ for this set that they put out, it does kind of cover the situation. It doesn't really differentiate between whether the thing stopping you from playing the supporter is coming from external to the card or within the card itself, but seems like you get around this. Now, it's not going to help you in the Sword and Shield metagame where the supporter card, you can't play that on your first turn because I think you still also can't attack if you're going first. So this wouldn't really let you get around that, I think. Haven't followed up on all the little tweaks they're going to make with Sword and Shield, which I guess is coming out here next year. We'll see when that gets announced for a full set there. But Rosa, also a pretty good card. You can get a Pokemon Trainer card and a basic energy card. So kind of a nice little variety there. I'm sure there will be some decks that'll use that well. All right, so I got Dusknoir was my main evolution line in this deck that I built. Let's see, and you know, it's got an ability called the whole line, and actually also that Mimikyu there is all based around placing damage counters. It seems very, very much. If you got the Blacephalon and this. You're going to be placing a lot of damage counters. This one, when it gets knocked out, you get to place 4 damage counters however you like. And then it's got for Psych Up for 60 damage for 1 energy, which is pretty good. And then if you can use it on successive turns without getting, knocked out, then you do 120 during your next turn. And as long as you can keep doing it there. Retreat cost of 3 is obviously pretty high there, but you kind of almost want this potentially to get knocked out as sort of a deterrent in certain cases if they've got, especially in the pre-release where they might be stuck with some low HP Pokemon. You want to be really careful about that. So I really do like the way that they're sort of trying to match up things here. Let's see. Yes, and here is my tag team GX that I use. I think I used it like once in the tournament. I used the GX attack because it is an auto sleep thing there. Obviously, the best part is if you have all the energy on there, then you can hit the bench and stuff. It actually might be a little hard for some of you folks to read, but yeah, the first attack is 60 plus. So 60 base damage for 3 energy, which is not terrible, but it does more if your opponent has GX or EX Pokemon. So this might actually be better in constructed if you can get maybe something in a double colorless or something like that. Could be pretty brutal as a bit of a cleaner there, or to get the last couple prizes for a game. If your opponent's field is full of EX and GX Pokemon. Another thing I wanted to mention here is I'm glad that they're still trying to keep things relatively compatible and not just ignoring that EX Pokemon ever existed mechanically, because that would cause some real problems for expanded. Like I said, the GX attack, if you have 4 extra energy, so 5 energy on there, you can totally do 200 to one of your opponent's bench Pokemon, which, like I said, is not something that I had a real use for. But yep. But anyway, that's the tag team GX. And I want to talk about Cricketune a little bit. I believe this was part of one of the things I got, but I ended up not using it. So there was a video posted, I believe, by like Jay-Witz recently. I didn't really take too much look at it, but it was sort of poking fun at like this Yu-Gi-Oh card. It has so much text on it. Reminded me of, if you've ever seen the Star Trek original series episode, I believe it's A Piece of the Action, Kirk makes up this game called Fizbin, which has this ridiculously long set of rules. And the Yu-Gi-Oh card kind of reminds me of that. And this one is not quite there. I'm not sure. The attack name seems to be maybe further to the right than I would think. I don't know. But basically, it does a different thing depending on the number of cards you have in your hand. Always does 30, but it does more damage or bench damage and stuff like that. So kind of weird. I suppose it's kind of interesting in previous format, but I find in there you don't have quite the control you need to get the right number of cards. You have to really plan things out about putting down basic Pokemon, but certainly not a dull card, I would assume. And I kind of like the art and the way Cricketune, obviously it's got that faux mustache or whatever, and it's got that nice little woods background with the sunlight coming in and that tree in the back. I have to wonder if there's a bit of a Halloween type theme to this, at least some of the cards in this set. So pretty good art there. Let's see. Yeah, so this is not a card I got. This is actually from my press kit that I got from the Pokemon Company's press agency. But I did want to bring this up. One of the other evolution packs you can get has Piplup in it, and of course its evolutions. And that's important because it's got this attack that does 80 damage for 3 energy. But if you think that, that's decent, maybe, the Empoleon that you can evolve it into has the attack for 1 colorless that lets it use its previous forms. So you can use this. And we kind of misread this, we had a little bit of a problem with this, is if the defending Pokemon is a basic Pokemon, it can't attack during your opponent's next turn. And I had mistakenly kind of read that backwards with some confusion. My opponent was kind of nice and let us rewind a little bit because I thought, because he didn't really catch it either. I thought it was like, you can't use it on consecutive turns or something like that. But definite card to watch out for. All right, I think that is the last of the cards from the set. I think I have a few more things to go through. All right, some bad news, kind of unfortunately. So the store I run my league at here in Madison is closing down. It was kind of a financial decision. They weren't losing money hand over fist, but things were I think maybe there were a few too many game stores in town, and this was not doing so great. But Pegasus Games is where I've been running my league since I moved here in 2008. I've been very proud to do that, but they're closing on the 17th. Now, our last league day, if you happen to be someone from Madison watching this, is going to be, I believe, November 10th. Because the 17th, there's going to be like a party or something at the store where they're closing out. They were pretty picked, not completely clean, but very much pared down when I got there today for league. The good news is I think we're working with another store in the area to hopefully get a league. There's another league on the east side of Madison, but we kind of want to keep Madison, I guess, a 2-league town or something like that. Excuse me, Siri. Sorry about that. But you can see Pegasus Games is actually going sort of one thing they sometimes do is progressive discounts. And anything left in the last week is going to be like 75% off, so they can clear their inventory. So that's kind of what's going on there. So kind of unfortunate, especially for the folks working there, of course, who I've gotten to know decently well over the years. And I'm kind of sad to see us go. It's been around for like 39 years in Madison. I don't know if it's been how long it's been in its current location, but really, actually, to be honest, a nice little fixture there, but also a good run there. So, on a more positive note, I have a few more things in this slideshow to talk about. All right. So, this Saturday, November in an area, and you care about such things, I'm going to be at the Lucier Community Education Center. This is the place that has that low-power FM station that I do that thing on. I'm doing an Audacity training session. So if you're in the Madison area and you want to learn how to use Audacity, that's going to be this Saturday, November 2nd, from 4:30 to 6 p.m. That is the last I heard on all of that. That's on Gammon Road in Madison. So I've built up a PowerPoint for that as well, and we're going to be demoing some of the stuff there. So I'm very nice to have an opportunity to sort of do some education in the community, as the name of the building kind of implies. All right. And I have a few more things to talk about, but I wanted to point out there, if you have not already seen it, last weekend, of course, I posted another Why It Works. Why It Works is my series where I take music that wasn't originally a Pokemon song and then explain why it works in that place in a later setting. And, of course, last weekend I did Happy Together, one of the songs used, the song used in the first Detective Pikachu trailer, and I sort of talk about what makes it kind of work in that setting. And if you haven't taken it, it's only a minute or so long, so give it a shot. You'll probably also hear it the next time I get an episode going of the podcast. So let's see. End of the slideshow. All right, you should be seeing all me. But yeah, so let's see here. And there we go. Back up to full screen. So just to give a few more updates on the channel before we head out here. I do not know when Ann and I will be doing our Pokemon Stadium discussion. I haven't actually heard from her for a while. I hope she's okay. But other than that, that's what's going on there. As far as things coming up, I'm going to be maybe a little busy with the transfer to the league, although it sounds like that might be a little bit easier than I initially thought. But yeah, if you have any comments about the Cosmic Eclipse set, any of the card art, as usual, I think there's some good diversity there. Like a lot of the cards and what they did, like I said, they really packed them in on this one. But any comments on any of that or any questions, go ahead and put that in the comments. All right, folks, thanks.